Well, we're ready to do it again. Chapter 2 at Exporail in St. Constant, Quebec, not far from Montreal, about a half an hour north of the border. We did Chapter 1 with Denis Mailly, who started our tour and got us all excited by taking us on a streetcar ride around the property. One of the largest museums of its kind in North America. Absolutely charming for people of all ages, and those who love railroads. You would do well to catch Chapter 1 again or get a copy of it from Calvin Castine at Hometown Cable, and certainly stay with us today. And if you have children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, get them around the television set. Get your own family together and grandma and grandpa and watch this, because railroads have been a huge part, an integral part of both of our nations here in North America, Canada and the United States. And what you see inside and outside here at this Exporail in Quebec is hands-on cars, photographs, displays, demonstrations, and they're open all throughout the year from 10 to 6 during the summer and fall months if you want to come here at the museum and have a look around. They've graciously invited us here today, and we had so much fun with Chapter 1. Now we're going to be doing Chapter 2. Stay tuned. Denis Mailly, good to be back with you here. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gord. Welcome back to the Exporail Canadian Railway Museum.
We are so thrilled to be here. You said, as we were walking and talking in our last program, you said, I think I heard your voice before.
I sure did.
You might have caught some of our programs here. You might have even turned the radio on back in the old days, because I was on the radio in Plattsburgh for a long, long time before that. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. We've been together for a couple hours, and I feel like we've been old friends forever and ever, don't you?
That's what it sounds like.
I love it. Once again, at the start of this program, I want to tell people how to find your museum when they head north.
Okay, once you get to the Canadian border at Lacolle, stay on Route 15 in Canada, and once you hit 132, you take 132 west, going towards Mercier Bridge and Chateauguay. Now, once you're on 132, you get to 209. 209, you turn left, and you got a mile to go to the museum. And as I said in the first program, if you pass the track, you've passed the museum.
The best thing, as we said before, is to get the family in the car and head up here early in the day, because it will take you at least a full day to enjoy this place.
Oh, there's plenty to see in a full day, because we tried once to go walking around the museum, and just walking, it took us 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So you can imagine with 166 pieces of equipment to see.
And have you started reading everything?
That's right.
Well,
you can probably sleep overnight.
We've seen this one, right?
Yeah, we saw this. Did we see this one before?
No, we did not.
Oh, we did not. All right, let's talk about it.
This engine here, 2850, is the Royal Hudson. The Royal Hudson is the engine that pulled the Royal train back in 1939 when the King and Queen of England were in Canada.
Oh, that's why the crown is on it, huh?
That's right. The King loved it so much that he allowed Canada to name all the Hudson engine Royal engine and put the crown on it.
Isn't that neat? And this is one of the unique things you said, because we can go underneath.
That's right. There's a world premiere at the museum here, and it's a pit where you go under not one but under two engines, a steam and a diesel. And right now we're going down under the famous Royal Hudson. And the diesel engine we're going to go under is an FA4 engine, which is a unique piece, the last one that CN had.
I never have heard of this being done anywhere before, and you said it probably hasn't been, huh?
There are pits in other museums, but you go under one engine.
Yeah.
Under two, no.
Look at this. Wow.
So you can compare both steam and diesel era.
Isn't that truly amazing?
And bear this in mind, we're under an engine that weighs about 300 tons.
Uh-oh. If it
We're
starts
under.
coming, just holler headache. Look at the size of these I-beam rails that they have here. I don't think anything's going to cave in. The engineers probably had that all figured out.
That's right.
And here's a
It's a
turntable.
drop-it dolly turntable. That we use to remove wheels from engine and put them back on. It's hydraulic.
Yeah.
And they used to get it under the engine, remove the wheels, put them on the rack, bring them down, take them to the shop.
Well, that would be far better than having to lift the whole locomotive up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now we're going under an FA4 engine, which was the last one that CN had. It's a unique piece. And you can see the difference between the steam engine and the diesels.
Oh my goodness. Now you said some of these engines were operating when they came in here, right?
Yes.
And some of them could operate even today.
Well, even today. Yes, we have right now 3 engines that were non-operational when they came in. Now they're operating.
Oh.
Because we had people working on it, volunteers.
Isn't that wonderful?
They put them back into working conditions.
You know, we mentioned in the first program how many volunteers. Did you say 120?
That's about between 120 and 125
Volunteers?
volunteers.
There are only about how many, a dozen or 20 paid employees?
There's 12 paid employees, regular staff. Mind you, the guides are paid, but those are summer jobs. So we have subventions for that. We have grants from government for students.
Is this a private museum, or does the government subsidize it? Or how?
It's a private museum. It's owned by the CRHA, the Canadian Railway Historical Association. But we're subsidized by federal government, provincial government, cities, companies such as CNR, CP, Via Rail, Bombardier, the Molson Foundation. Those are
Just
some
to
of our
drop a
sponsors.
few famous names. But
Some good one if you talk about Molson.
You've always been interested in the history of railways, even when you were in the glass bottle business for
That's
many,
right.
many years.
That's right.
That was your main career.
I was raised along the railroad. You know, and I can still remember when I was 5 years old, going with my little tricycle at the corner of the street to see the trains go by on the bridge.
Oh, golly.
So then we moved, and as I said before, where we lived, the train would pass about 25 feet away from the house.
That's close enough to be in your mind for a long, long
That's right.
time.
And I can't understand people say, I can't sleep, there's too much noise.
Oh, no.
Imagine what it was like in our days, and we used to sleep.
Well, you know, when we had an air base there in Plattsburgh and the planes flew overhead, a few old wags made those complaints, and we used to say, those people are defending our freedom.
That's right.
We don't mind that. We don't mind that sound at all. And when
That's
it comes to trains, that would put me to sleep.
Well, trains used to bring us our meals,
Yeah, of course.
you know,
And take our soldiers off to war.
That's right, that's right.
And bring our loved ones.
That's right.
To
Because
us
I remember
from the
when
West
the war
Coast.
when the war ended in 1945, there was the old Bonaventure station in Montreal, and the trains were backing up to the street where I live on Senior Street, and we went to see the soldiers there, and then we'd go to the station to see them come off the train, join the family. And I saw things that I'll never forget.
Never, ever,
When you see
ever.
a soldier come out of the train in a basket, no arms, no legs, this you don't forget.
Oh boy, we have so many memories, and those,
That's
you know, talk about the current world situation, which is troubling to people, you know, and you worry about it for your children, your grandchildren,
No.
in my case, great-grandchildren. But those days, 1930s, 1940s, that was an amazing
That's right.
time.
So today, you only wish that, you know, some of our authorities would understand and think about how nice life can be without wars.
Yeah. Well, it's something to think about in your mind. In the meantime, we're at this wonderful Exporail Museum, and to think that up until about a week or two ago when Calvin told me about it, I didn't even know it existed. I'm so embarrassed, but I will be the best spokesman next to Denis after today, believe me, because we'll all be back up here again, and we will bring our friends.
I'm sure we will see you again.
This is a great place. All right, let's go up to street level. What do you say? I love it. When you come in, you can push a button, and I've already pushed that button, and you can listen to sounds.
That's right.
The
You can have
clickety-clack, clickety-clack, either the diesel or the steam.
That's
huh?
right.
And those of us who've heard the sounds of a steam engine pulling a steam train will never ever forget it. And I mentioned in the first program, it's a part of filmography. How many great old movies where people are kissing goodbye at the train and waving, and
Well, it
running
was
down the tracks.
at that time it was the only means of transportation,
Oh, sure, cross country,
even
before
before
the-
automobiles.
before the automobile, before the airplane.
That's right. See, I told you before, the King and Queen were in Canada in 1939. This engine was built in 1938.
Oh, it was.
And it was the first
brand
engine
new.
built with a stainless steel boiler.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
And when it was in Canada, it was painted to the royal colors.
Of
And
course.
after the royal visit, they had to put it back to the CP color.
Oh, they did. That makes sense. What are we having to find? What's this now? CPR 1554, Canadian Pacific Railway, 1908, huh?
Yeah, it's all made of wood, built at the Angus shop in Montreal. Richard Angus, who was the founder of the Angus shop in Montreal, which was the largest railway shop in Quebec, is the great-grandfather of one of our volunteers here at the museum,
No
Fred
kidding.
Angus.
Isn't that amazing?
And in the conference room, we have a picture of Richard Angus given by his grandson.
Oh, isn't that great? And I was just reading that mahogany was used inside for a lot of the things with the green velvet seats.
That's right.
The bi-directional
That's
seats,
right.
as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
68 passengers comfortably.
Right.
Wow.
Decorations all oak and mahogany with velvet, either
my.
red or green.
And there was a smoker section too for people. Oh boy, oh boy. I don't think I've ever taken a very, very long trip on a train. Have you ever gone out west or anything?
No, I've never been out west, but I've been out east.
Have you?
Yep. I've been to Moncton, New Brunswick.
Oh,
It's
yeah?
a 16-hour ride.
Oh, that's a long ride. I've often said before that I'd like to take a train ride across Canada. So many people have in the past, and sleep in the Pullman cars.
Yeah.
And, you know, look at the old suitcases and
Yeah.
trunks. And, oh
Like the
my.
brown one was given to me by a friend of mine.
No kidding.
I took it to the curator of the museum and I said, does that have any value? There were 3 of those. And one still had the stamp on it from a soldier in England. He
No.
kept it, yeah.
Oh, of course he kept it. Are you kidding?
It's in the archives now.
Oh, isn't that great? And they had the,
So this is to show you the baggage car.
yeah,
So just like it was in the old days, when I was young, it was like that.
it was like that. And you saw,
Those wagons were hand-pulled
sure.
and had all the baggages on it. And
Oh, you saw one of these outside every railroad station,
That's right.
They had to load the cars and unload the cars, and just great. And the feeling inside this museum is that you're there. I mean, these are the real cars. These aren't
That's right.
these aren't replicas, most of them. These are the real things that have been retired or brought here from one reason or another. And
It's
there are
just-
how many different cars
there are 44 pieces of equipment here on 12 tracks
in this building?
in this building.
Not to mention,
Altogether at the museum, there's 166 pieces of equipment.
wow, that's absolutely incredible. We're taking our time as we view them, because I'd hate to go so fast that somebody says, well, I was just getting a soda. What did they just look at anyway? So we're standing in between all these things, and you know, half of my kick is not only listen to you, but watch the little kids. When
That's
their
right.
parents and grandparents
Yeah.
bring them in. Kids love it, don't they?
That's right. Oh, they sure do. They sure do.
They love anything that's mechanical. We did a show at a local quarry where they were digging out of the quarry one time, and all this big equipment, and oh boy, did the little kids would run to the
They go for
television
that.
set, see the big trucks
Right.
and the big cranes. So yeah, railroads have always had a charm for people of all ages,
Yeah.
and a lot of people we know are into model railroading, and you know a lot of people who are doing that too, including yourself.
I sure do.
And you're involved in how many different clubs? 3?
I'm involved in 2 clubs plus the museum, and I have my own layout at home that I'm building right now.
Oh boy.
And just to give you an idea, next weekend is our miniature train show, the 19th and 20th of August.
Okay, we're recording this on the
Right
9th of
now-
August.
Right now, we will have 10 major layouts.
Come on.
And we'll have layouts of all sizes, starting from Z scale, which is 1/320.
Yeah, tiny,
Yeah,
tiny.
and on our miniature railroad outside, we will have 3 steam engines, plus our own engine.
Eat your heart out. We
Next
won't be
weekend.
here. Oh my! I'll be going to Connecticut next weekend. Too bad. I'd like to change plans. All right, what have we got on this side? That's a nice engine
This
on
is
the
the
left side.
oldest steam engine built in Canada and still existing.
No kidding. This one
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Was built in the late 1800s.
And that's a car that would hold coal.
That was coal in the back.
Coal car
Yeah.
back there.
The tender.
The tender, the coal car. Yeah. Sliding windows.
And if we had money, this one we could probably have it operate.
No kidding. Everything takes money, huh? But they
it takes money.
But where would you go with it?
right to the door.
We have a
Okay,
track outside.
reverse.
We have a track outside.
Do you really?
Sure. We have an old CP line that was given to us.
Oh,
And back and forth from one end to the other, it's about half an hour.
oh.
And on Sunday afternoon, it's operational. There's an engine in there with a car, and people can climb aboard
Oh my
and take a trip.
goodness.
And mind you, one thing before I forget, at the museum, you pay your admission, you've got free parking, we have picnic area, we have tables, we have a cafeteria, and once you're inside, everything is free. You can ride the streetcar, and you can ride the miniature railway as often as you want to. There's no charge for it. The only thing we're going to ask you the second time you get on board the streetcar is a smile to pay your fare.
We can do that. We have no trouble. I think I cracked my face about 300 times today. We've been smiling and laughing so much.
Say the price again.
What's the price to get in for a family, you said?
The price at my age is $9. If I was younger, it would be $12. But we have a family price of $30 for 2 adults and 2 children.
Oh my goodness, what am I looking at here?
You're looking at the 1939 Buick,
Look at that.
built to operate on tracks.
You have got to be kidding me.
Yeah. This belonged to one of the CP president or vice president, I guess. And he had a phobia. Every weekend he had to go out and inspect his tracks. So in order to do so, he had the car built with car wheels, regular freight car wheels, and he'd get on the tracks and operate just like a train.
Put the hubcaps on too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't believe that, the Buick
It had to be.
hubcaps.
It had to have class. It was a Buick.
Oh
You know,
my.
a Buick in those days had class.
Of course. Look at this. And there's a picture of it. So it was a Buick Century. Brother of CPR's president, Sir Edward Wentworth Beatty, Chief Medical Officer for Canadian Pacific, lived in Toronto, donated the car to the company. How about that, huh?
Yeah. See, the weight of the car is 3.8 tons with the
Yeah.
wheels
I
on.
love it. The car, it says the car is capable of moving 115 kilometers per hour, but restricted to 80.
Yeah. And one thing about this car, there's a platform underneath. When you got to the end of the track, if you wanted to turn back, you'd lift the car and turn it around
Oh, come
and
on.
go back.
Oh, man. I've never seen anything quite like that.
And I was told, with very little work on the motor, it can be operated.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Oh, I love it. That's really neat. That's cool. All right, we're just walking and talking here, going on to another row. It's just, there's so much to see in this museum. As I said, this is chapter 2 of a series of I don't know how many programs we'll end up doing, Denis, here at the Exporail Museum, St. Constant, Quebec. But it's a marvelous place for people of all ages, and if you haven't figured that out, if you watched us for 10 minutes or 2 hours, then I don't know if you ever will. What have we got here?
Okay, this is the what they call the 10-wheeler engine. It's got 4 directional wheels and 6 driving wheels. And they were the most popular, and they lasted until late 1900. I mean around 1950 or something like that, because steam went out in 1959, 1960. But these were quite popular, and there was hundreds of those manufactured.
Really?
Yeah.
Some of these were manufactured in Canada and some in the United States.
That's right. That's right. Some came from the United States. The Baldwin Company was one of the companies who made some engines.
Isn't that funny? Not the same Baldwin company that made Baldwin pianos, I'll bet you.
No.
Oh, this is a Canadian National Railway
An
3684.
RS-18. Those also were switchers, and they were really popular. And what happened with this one is when we got it, it was painted to the 1980 colors of CN. Black with the vertical white stripes.
Yep.
And we decided to put it back to its original color of green and gold.
It's a lot of paint to paint one of those big engines, isn't it, huh?
Well, it cost us over $30,000 just to paint.
No kidding.
It's got to be stripped down, a couple of coats of rust-proof, and then undercoating, and then the paint on top of it.
Boy, that's a nice big engine, though.
Yeah. But compared to present-day diesels, those are switchers. They're small.
I know. And that's to me because they're all so huge. You know, even as an adult, when you're a little kid, 5 years old, an engine looks
Oh, it's impressive.
tremendously big. But even now, these old engines look very big and beautiful for me, and they do garner up and engender some of the best memories of my early childhood. We had a lilac bush next to our house, and my brother and I would pick the lilacs and make what we thought were just beautiful floral arrangements of lilacs and take them down to the train station and try to sell them for a penny so we could get some penny candy.
That's right. And at that time, you know,
And people thought we were so pathetic, they'd sometimes give us 2 cents, I guess.
2 candies for a penny.
Oh, look at this. There's a uniform. The porter at your service.
That's a porter. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And that,
You know, porters in those days were not paid.
no
They
kidding.
were living on tips.
No kidding. Did
Yeah.
not know that. And the perennial step stool that
That's right. We
everybody
still have
had.
some of those outside.
Really?
Yeah.
Just, you know, it's just so much true history involved with railroading because the history of both our nations follows right
That's
along
right.
with the railroads and with transportation in general. Oh my, look at this car.
Okay, this is called the Saskatchewan. That one, Mr. Van Horn's private car.
Oh my.
Mr. Van Horn is the one who built the railway all across Canada to Vancouver. And that was his private car.
Isn't
Mr.
that-
Van Horn, as well as Mr. Hayes, were Americans
Aha.
who established themselves in Canada.
Sir William Cornelius Van Horn.
That's right.
Railway Baron.
Yeah, and if you want to see something special about Mr. Van Horn, it's in New Brunswick at St. Andrews. His summer house is there.
Really?
Try to figure that out. It's a 40-room house.
Oh, come on.
Each and every one of the room has its own fireplace.
Oh my.
Mr. Van Horn was independent from everybody. He was producing his own electricity on the island, and you can only go onto the island at low tide.
Oh yes.
Otherwise, at high tide, you can't go in.
Yeah. Oh my.
Yeah, that was his private car. And for people who would like more information when they come to the museum, there are phones that'll give you the history.
No kidding. Just pick up the phone and
Just
push
pick
the
up the
button
phone and that's
listen
it.
to it.
Yeah, either French or English.
Maybe I can. Let me see. Which is? Oh, this is English. You press the button, and I'll get the microphone on there if it starts. Can you hear a little bit of it? Just, I think you can. I think I can too. Just to let people know that that's what's going to happen when they come here. Oh, that's cool. I like it.
There's a picture of Mr. Van Horn.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, his house on Sherbrooke Street was demolished, well, maybe 10 or 15 years ago.
Oh, really?
Beautiful
Oh,
mansion.
My. Okay, now we got.
The Neville is a deluxe passenger car
Look how
and one of the longest ever built.
look how big it is. I was looking for the end of it.
It's 86 feet long.
Wow.
And in those days, cars, 78, 80 were the biggest one.
Yeah. Yeah, in the lap of luxury, I guess so.
Oh,
Look at the size of that thing. It just goes on and on and on.
we can't put it on our turntable outside.
It won't fit.
There's an overhang at each end. We tried it once.
Oh, did not work at all.
I wonder how it was on the curves.
Yeah, I wonder if that would make a difference.
They needed
on the-
long curves,
Yeah.
very long curves.
Is that the longest of the cars?
Yeah.
It is, huh?
It is.
This one's pretty long, too.
Yeah, but that was Mr. Hayes' car.
Uh-huh.
The car. So it's all the inside is as it was with Mr. Hayes.
Oh, it
The
is?
dining room, the bedroom, the maid's chamber, the kitchen. That's what he used to travel on. And mind you, this car, just like Mr. Van Horn's car, was made of wood. But when CN took over Grand Trunk in 1923, they decided to put metal over the wood. But underneath, the wood is still there.
It's still there. The frame
Yeah.
is still there. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow. One is just as exciting as the next, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
This is the one we saw
That's the one you went under.
underneath, so our viewers got a view that most people never get of a railroad
That's right.
engine, I'll tell you that. There's somebody down there looking at it right now, as a matter of fact. This is an incredible place.
Well, we're proud of it. There was so much work put in it that
Can you imagine what committee meetings there must have been when before they built this place, deciding how they're going to present all this stuff, and to get it in such a tasteful, wonderful
I
way.
had the good fortune of being on that
Did you
committee.
really? You got in
Because
on
I
it?
represent the volunteers on the executive board. So I have my say, I can vote.
Well, you're highly respected, and that's because you're so good at what you do. And as I've said before many times in this program, your enthusiasm is infectious, and I got the disease, I'll tell you that, because it's just absolutely wonderful.
I'm sure we're going to see you back.
Oh, yeah. Shall we go down another row? All right,
Let's go.
let's go. We're going to have to gargle after we finish. We're talking after all this time.
Get used to that.
This is just great.
This is the Louis Bourg Railway. Louis Bourg is in Nova Scotia. And this is the first car that came into the new building.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. The first car that was taken to the new building to show, for people to see.
Yeah. We should mention again, and I'm not sure if we mentioned it in this segment, but this building, this part of the museum has only been open for
4 years.
4 years. The museum has operated here since early 1960.
1961 to be exact. And while we're going through here, you can see there's an elevator for wheelchairs.
Oh, that's wonderful.
There are platforms so people can see inside the cars.
Oh, yes. Oh, actually, you can see right in. Yeah, there are people walking in.
Yeah, you
through
can go into the Louis Bourg. Louis Bourg is a combined, baggages and passengers.
I see behind Calvin, the table's all set for lunch there, Calvin.
Mr. Hayes' car.
Oh, isn't that
Calvin
amazing? Look at that.
The plates and the silvery are original.
Are they really?
Yeah.
So when you say, we'd say the lap of luxury, we're not kidding, are we?
No, we're
huh?
not. No, no.
No, this is the real thing.
Because railway traveling was really luxury in those days.
And you remember the phrase "whistle stops" in the days when politicians would stand on the end of a car and
Yeah.
go through the little towns and
Yeah.
stop long enough to give their speeches,
That's right.
start again.
This is a school car.
Look at this. Look at the school desks.
School cars started in the late 1800, early 1900, when people were building the railway north in Ontario, and they wanted their children to go to school. So 3 companies, Ontario Northland, Canadian Pacific, and Canadian National, each supplied 2 deluxe cars. Those 6 cars were divided. Half of it was the school, and the other half was the teacher's residence.
No
They would
kidding?
park a car in a village, and children would go to school for a week.
See the blackboard on the other side, Calvin, all the way? Isn't that amazing?
And after the week was over, the car would go, another one would come over to correct the exams and things like that. And it'd go on like that, building the railway. And that lasted till 1967.
I would never have known that if I hadn't met you, Denis. I love
Yeah.
it.
And there are only 2 cars left. One is in Ontario, has been modified, and the one we have here is just as it was when we received it.
No
Nothing has been changed.
Is
You can
it?
see the gramophone.
Oh my goodness, with the crank on the side of
crank
it.
on it.
Sure. Old books and tables and school desks like
that's
I
exactly
remember
the way it was.
from my childhood, way back when. Press the button to... Oh, I can hear children. I put the microphone down by the speaker so you could just hear a little bit of the flavor of it.
This was a teacher's residence.
Look at this. Teacher's residence, huh?
Yeah, he lived in there with his family, wife and children.
Another little portable record player in there and
Everything was original.
original furniture. That's the beauty of it. They didn't have to go out and scrounge for things to replace it because
Right.
this is it. Look at the little sink in there. And
All the comforts of home.
all the comforts of home. Now I can hear the little kids reciting in the background. You press the button. Oh,
And you can see the inside of another.
look over
sleep
here,
suite.
Cal. Oh, yes.
The Neville. You can see one of the beds is already.
Somebody's been sleeping there.
Oh, yeah. Who's
Yeah.
been sleeping in my bed?
That's the question.
Oh, that's great.
When Denis gets thrown out at home, this is where he sleeps.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't supposed to mention that.
But you know how many young people watching this program, and maybe some older people, have never, ever been on a train?
That's right.
Boy,
You'd be
you
surprised.
missed something if you haven't been.
Yeah. I know when I operate the streetcar, possibly every hour somebody would say, "Hey, how do you get on the train?" Or I would ask them, "Have you ever been on the train?" And say, "No." People of all ages.
Yeah, never been on a train. Look at this. Here's a bird's
You
eye
can see the
view.
motor,
Oh my
Iris 18.
goodness. Look at that. So much power in these old, even the early diesels, just
Yeah.
tremendous power. But there was nothing like the
You know,
biggest.
we say
steam-
diesels, but the actual word is electric diesel.
electric diesel.
They
Yeah,
make their own electricity.
that's exactly right.
They have their own compressor. They make
Yeah.
their own electricity.
Isn't
But
that
we dropped the electric.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. The power plants are so gargantuan and
In
huge.
1998, we had a big storm here. It was
How
ice.
well we remember.
Okay, well,
We
you
did it
remember,
too.
right?
We did too.
It
Yeah.
was the little city of Boucherville. The mayor of Boucherville used to work for CN. So she got a hold of CN, and she said, "Look, can you send us an engine so we can have electricity at the city hall?" And they did. And I was there when the engine came in, the crane behind it, they lifted the engine, put it on the street, and it cruised to the city hall, and they had electricity.
Generated by the diesel engine. Electric. Isn't
That's right.
that beautiful? Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh, cabooses. We mentioned cabooses in our last program. Well, what a great charm they have for me and for you and for others. From the story about the little red caboose and
That's right.
all those things. This is a nice one.
This one was renovated about 3-4 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, but the inside is as it was originally.
How many cabooses have you seen turned into diners and people move them to their property? And
Oh, you'd be surprised.
you talked about somebody that has
I
some.
taught, in Tatamagouche, Nova Scotia.
I have to practice Tatemagu.
Tatamagouche. the person who owns the place now, his father bought the station at Tatamagush, transformed it into a small hotel, and his son started buying cabooses and turned them into motels.
Isn't that
And I think he probably has 9, 10, or 12. He even has a boxcar that's separated in two. One side is the storage, and the other side he made a family-sized motel with it.
Oh, isn't it?
With bunk
I just
bunk
love
bed.
it. I love it.
It's a beautiful place.
Wow, look at the old oil can here.
Yep.
Isn't this great? Do
This
they do
gives you an-
demonstrations here, or do they?
They do a demonstration. They they explain how the buggies are put onto the cars, how it works,
You know,
what the oil can was used for.
and how they had to grease these bogies wheels,
That's
and,
right.
and how they used to
Grease inside the box.
get a hot box. That's where
Yeah.
the phrase "hot box" came from. My goodness, look at that! Wonderful stuff. I see over here in this display box, and there's one of the ones with the long handles on. Yeah, a lot of great stuff
The
here.
old type
Lantern,
lighting,
right?
the lanterns they used,
Oh my!
all kinds of gauges
Oh yes.
for the tracks.
I love it. I've known several people, including my daughter-in-law's dad, who worked for many, many years on the railroad, and he's given me some of the little brass keys
Yeah.
and the little brass number tags and insulators, and you know, we've talked often before about when we were kids standing by the railroad track and watching them get the mailbag off a hook.
Right, that's
I
right.
don't remember quite how that worked, but they put the mailbag and it would come and pick it up.
It was a long piece of wood, bamboo,
Yeah.
was made like a loop at the end,
He's got it.
and the engineer would put his arm outside.
Yeah.
They tied the orders with a clothespin, and as it went by, the loop would just go into his arm. They'd let go of it. It'd pick up the orders and let the loop go down to the floor, and they had to pick it up.
Is that cool or what? Oh man, I can remember all the track signals and the lights and the hand switches. And, you know,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Boy, what do we got here? This is
Okay.
huge.
This engine is 92 feet long, weighs 327 tons. It's called the Santa Fe. Santa Fe has something special. If we go down further to the wheels, you see that it has 10 drivers.
I noticed that. Wow.
The middle drivers have no flange on it.
Aha.
The middle drivers are flat.
Yep.
Those engines were used on short curves. Had the middle wheels have flange, they would not have been able to go around the curves,
Aha.
because the curves were too sharp.
I see.
The wheels were off the tracks in the curve.
Can you imagine that? This is a big one.
See the middle wheel here?
Yep. No flange on the inside. I can see it. Yeah. Oh boy.
And I've learned something last week from people from Vermont. I served as a guide, and one was explaining, it was an ex-railway employee, he was explaining that the reason there was no flange, the flanges on the other wheels were made different, so that the engine would go down and get the curves always on the same side.
Aha, that makes
So
sense.
one side of the flange was a little sharper than the other side,
Oh my.
to make sure that it would stay on the track as they go around.
Yeah, once again, some engineer had to stop and figure that out. But
That's
these,
right.
oh boy, this is beautiful. I love this engine.
That's a unique piece, and like the streetcar we had, number one, this is part of the National Archives.
So there aren't too many like this. You say unique.
It's a unique piece.
That's it. Oh my. And the fact that these wonderful pieces of equipment are presented here for everybody to see.
That's right. Now,
Ever
one thing
and
we
ever
might
and
say right
ever.
now, for people coming in to visit us, whether the temperature outside is 90 degrees or 100 degrees, the inside is air conditioned.
That's great. That's nice to know.
And in the
once-
wintertime, it's heated.
And once again, it's open all year round on the weekends in the cold part of the winter. And
That's right. During the winter, the main building is open 7 days a week, from November to the 1st of May. And people coming in during the winter may benefit from a small reduction in price.
I like that idea. And the general hours are from 10 to 6, right?
10 to 6 regular during the summer and 10 to 5 during the wintertime.
I love it. That's my new favorite one. Isn't it great? Yep. I like that school car. That's something I learned. I had never idea. Can you imagine how difficult it was for some of these kids to get an education, you know?
That's right. And, you know, people really wanted their kids to be educated so they could go into life and learning things and be able to earn their living. So they thought of that. And
So what do we got here? This is,
it's a snow rotary, a snow plow.
oh, the round, yeah, that's the rotary
Yep.
snow plow.
Yeah.
I've seen the photographs of those
And
operating.
you'll see the front. This is a Canadian invention.
Yeah.
The first snow plow were invented in Canada. A fellow by the name of Ness from Toronto, Ontario. And I dare you to tell me what Mr. Ness was doing in his life to earn his living.
I can't imagine.
In 15 years, I had 2 women tell me. The first one sat back and she said, Mr. Ness must have been a dentist. I said, ma'am, you have a lot of imagination, but Mr. Ness was a dentist.
Isn't that amazing?
And I said, how do you figure that out? Well, she says, I look at the wheels out front, the way it turns, it's just like the drills they use to clean our teeth. So I asked the other lady, I said, who told you? She started laughing, she says, my husband told me.
Boy, this is a...
This one here in particular is a 3rd generation. It's made of metal, it's built on a steam engine. That's why there's a tender at the back for the coal.
Right.
And it needed help from another steam engine to push it. Because on its own it wasn't powerful enough to go to the large snowbanks.
The big snowbanks. And boy, there are some big snowbanks in Canada, folks.
This one here operated in the Saguenay Lake Saint Jean era, northern Quebec, until 1966.
No kidding, that
Yep.
recently, huh?
There are still places, I don't know if in the States you have some, but I know there are still places where they're still using them.
Yeah,
In the
I
mountains.
Don't have any, oh, look at this. Painted bright red, so you get
That's
a view. Look at the size of that thing.
See, the wheels would turn 450 RPM,
No kidding.
and on top there's a chute where they could throw the snow only in one direction at about 80 feet away. So the inconvenience is when the wind was coming from the back,
Oh, yeah.
it was really windy, it would send all the snow back in front. So they have to,
Shoot at 80 feet.
yeah.
Boy, that's quite a snowblower, Calvin, isn't it? That's,
And
wow, that's
you can
impressive.
see, you can, how do you call it, you
The
can
fins,
move,
yeah,
the fins, you can
are
move them.
movable. Yep. Well, you can understand, you get a,
And if it gets plugged, don't stick your hand in there.
yeah, don't be sticking your
way.
hand. Oh, my goodness.
And I
no.
saw some pictures in the Rockies going through the mountains, and they would build a tunnel. The snow was so high that even with this, they were going through a tunnel.
Isn't that, and you know, I have friends who lived up in the greater Anchorage area in Alaska who talk about some of the snowstorms, some of the avalanches that kill people and block the main highways during the wintertime. So we're not talking your 4 to 6 inch snowfall.
No.
We haven't had any massive snowfalls in this area in quite a long time. Oh, I see, yes, we got a nice cafeteria in here. All the comforts of home. This is such a wonderful place. I'm just so delighted that we heard about this
People wanna bring
museum.
their lunch, they're welcome to it. As I said before, we have tables, we have a picnic area outside.
And once again, the place is called Exporail for people who aren't familiar with it. And it's located about a half a mile or a half an hour north of the border. Not very hard to find and very easy to get here. Wonderful family experience for education and for entertainment. And you can come early and stay late and come again and again and again. I would love to, when people come from out of town to visit, I'd love to take them to things and show them what we have in this region. To have something this fabulous you know, only about an hour away from where
That's
I
right.
live in Morrisonville is just amazing and wonderful.
And you have to remember, it's a unique thing in Canada.
Yeah.
There are museums, but not as big as this. This is the largest in
Nothing
Canada.
Like this is great.
And we should thank the Press Republican, particularly Stephen Howell, who
Oh yeah.
writes the articles about this museum, and that's how I found out about it.
Yep. Well, it's a good thing we read the paper, that's for sure. We're media fans, as I said. Calvin's been doing this for 23 years, Calvin, now? About 23 years, and I've been in the media for, seems like the last 100 years.
Yeah.
And you're now in the media, whether you like it or not, Denny.
Well, when Stephen was here to write his article, I'm the one who was operating the streetcar that
I
day.
could imagine you
So
were.
Eve came in with Stephen, saw me. Stephen went ahead, you know how tall he is.
Oh, yeah.
So Eve looked at me and he said, I'm going. He left me there with Stephen.
Oh, God. Well, just tell us what we're looking at as we go along here.
Okay, this engine here was built as an experimental engine for CP. It was built in 1971, and they made all sorts of experience with it. There was 20 cylinders when it started off, and they couldn't operate it properly, so they had to bring it down. I think it's to 16 cylinders, and still they had problems with it, so they just dropped it.
No kidding.
Since it's a unique piece again, we were offered to take it.
Of course. Say yes, we'll
Bring
take
it
it.
in.
So
We got it about 6 years ago, and we brought it in here 2 years ago.
We got some models here. So people
You have models.
have an idea.
This is HO gauge, 187.
How many times, I got to ask you, this is a silly question, but how many times when you were a kid and the freight train went by did you have to count the cars?
I don't think I can.
98.
I don't think I can count that. that
98, 99, 100. Remember some of the long
That's
cars
right.
and 2 engines, 3
That's right.
engines,
That's
4
right.
engines.
Yeah.
Oh, my, my, my. That's how we got our math experience as little kids counting the cars. What were you going to say?
If you're on the road and you're in a hurry, you're just counting those cars.
Oh, yeah, well, that's true, too.
That's right.
How about, I can't remember the last time I got stuck at a crossing, but I have many times. And it's always when you're 5 minutes late anyway.
That's right. There's always a train going by.
Okay, what's this one on the right? This is a tank car, huh?
That's a small tank car.
Yep.
Built at Canadian Car and Foundries in Ville Saint Pierre in 1916. Procar, the company, still exists.
Oh, it does?
Oh yeah, it sure does. And now the tankers are much bigger than that.
Oh, yeah, I guess they are.
Yeah, 16, 20,000 gallons.
You know, I've done some research into the rail transportation to write a column for Strictly Business in the Clinton County, North Country region, and railroads are still very, very important for transportation, especially from this major port of Montreal.
And more companies are coming back to railroad
They certainly are.
because they're saving money.
For a lot of reasons. Think about it.
Saving money. That's a famous cattle car.
Yeah, I see hay in there. Are you looking for the cows?
Big cow.
Yeah.
Plastic one.
Big plastic cow, huh? Wait a minute, maybe we're going to hear something. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't work, and uh-oh.
Be locked up here too. Nope.
It's funny how it got stuck, huh?
I think I'll be able to make it.
No. Look at this. That's a big bull. Look at that. You're going to have to take a nap now after we
Sound
leave.
doesn't work. That bothers me.
Somebody got to check the sound out. Oh, that's a big
Yeah.
bull, is right. And these were the kind of...
Well, we almost refused it when we got it.
Did
We
you?
said it's not normal, it's too big. But it was given to us, so.
Oh, of course. I've seen some pretty big bulls in my day. I used to ride the bulls in the rodeo, and those big Brahma bulls were something that I didn't really enjoy. Another unique piece, you said.
Yes, a famous train master.
Oh boy.
Those engines came out in the 70s and were the most powerful engine of their times.
No kidding.
Yeah, and what's special about it, it was built by the Fairbanks company. And the motor inside, I was told, can propel a submarine. It's narrow, long, and very high, which made it very difficult for maintenance.
Yeah.
But they were very powerful in those days.
Oh my goodness.
They said they were about 10 years ahead of their time.
Isn't
And this
that
is the only one left in North America.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to come here to see it, folks. That's great. Oh, Hudson Bay, huh?
Yeah. Iron ore.
Iron ore, yep. Boy, that's a familiar looking car too.
Yeah, they're small iron ore cars.
It looks like the one down at Port Henry. I was just going to say.
Right.
Well, they have a small museum down there because of the mines, you know, so many mines around
Yeah.
Witherby and Port Henry and Mariah. Boy, that's a big engine, baby. That is a big engine.
I think it was 2,400 horsepower at the time.
Really? Well, we can look over here and see what it says.
2,400 horsepower, 12 cylinders.
See that? Isn't that amazing?
Powered by Fairbanks motors.
Oh my. Press Steel Car Company, huh?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
How about that? Look, we're looking at a cutaway version. Look at the size of the cylinders. Holy mackerel. Oh, my.
And if we go inside this engine, you can hear the sound of the motor.
Really?
Yep.
I mean, if it works?
No,
It'll work,
There's a
huh?
little button that you press.
Oh, well,
the sound,
okay.
The real sound of the motor.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, you got to go in through the back.
All right, come on in, Calvin. Oh, there's a little echo in here. Oh, I can hear it, baby. It's cranking. Look at this. Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. And look at this. Isn't that great? Are you actually here?
And this is the real sound of this motor.
Is it the real
Yeah.
sound of this
Yeah.
motor, huh?
Now we're inside the cab. If you sit down, you'll have the same view as the engineer had.
Isn't that great? Calvin's going to get the cord up there and take a view what the engineer could see. Well, that engine was pretty loud. Big engine, that's why, huh? Once again, you're getting a bird's eye view of the whole operation right from inside the cab. We should have had Denise singing in the background. I've been working on the railroad. Oh, this is great. Okay. This is a nice big engine here too, huh?
This is the first diesels acquired by CNR.
Ah,
It's not big, it's a small engine, and when they got it in 1929, it was already outdated by new models coming out.
isn't that something? Used as a switch engine, 1950.
That's right.
Right here in Montreal.
Yeah.
Huh? Beardmore motor replaced by a V12 Caterpillar.
That's a big thing.
Other than that, it's hasn't changed since the very beginning. Great, great stuff. Oh, that's wonderful. We've seen every car in here.
You did.
I think we did a good job.
44 pieces of equipment.
Did we really? That's amazing. But there's more to come, folks, so don't go away. We're at Exporail, the great railroad museum in Quebec with Denis. You gave us a personal ride in your own vehicle over here today. This is truly amazing.
It's a pleasure.
You are.
Because to me, you don't see enough of Exporail. I can show you all you want to see.
Oh, I love it. Now, Calvin says we ought to talk about gauge here. It's very important because you talked about a difference in gauge in Newfoundland.
Yeah, there are different types of track width. So Newfoundland, before 1949, was part of the British Commonwealth. Going back in the early 1900s, when Newfoundland wanted to establish trains in Newfoundland, they went to England. And in England, they had the standard gauge at 4 8.5 inch, and they had narrow gauge at 3 6.5. Newfoundlanders decided to buy narrow gauge because it was cheaper.
Yeah.
But whenever a boat got to Port aux Basques in Newfoundland and had to unload cars to operate in Newfoundland, they had to change the buggies under from 4 8.5 to 3 6.5.
Isn't that?
And going from Port aux Basques to St. John, when they got to Corner Brook, which is about halfway, and during the wintertime when it was really windy, they had to stop and chain the cars to the ground because the
top heavy.
The gravity
So tall, yeah.
was so high compared to the narrowness of the gauge.
Isn't that amazing? Another lesson learned. Just getting out
One
of
thing
the car.
Newfoundlanders didn't know at the time is 95% plus of their business was done with North America.
See that?
And in order to save money, they went on narrow gauge.
Figure that out, folks.
Try to.
All right, what do we got to do over here now?
Now we're going into shed number 5, where you have the biggest engine of the collection, which is
that's over
100
this
feet.
way,
Yeah.
huh?
Which is 100 feet long and weighs 365 tons.
Oh my!
And as I said before off the air, it's not as big as your big boy.
Yeah.
Big boy is 625 tons.
Yeah, I can't even fathom that much. There's so much track laid here too, you know.
Oh, one thing about the tracks. All the tracks you see at the museum have all been laid by volunteers. Because before the museum was established here, this was a pig's farm.
Was it really?
It here was.
Is it?
So all tracks that you see, no matter where you go, they were all laid by volunteers.
This is a pretty big piece of property. I don't know how many acres, but pretty big.
We have 86 acres of land.
No kidding.
And we occupy about 38.
Yeah.
So we still can expand.
Oh my.
Now we're going into shed number 5, and the first engine we're going to see is a replica of the John Molson.
Oh yes, I've heard of it.
The original John Molson was destroyed, and when the museum started in 1961, they wanted a replica of it, so they went to see the Molson family, who still had the plan. They went on a bidding session. It's a consortium from Japan who got the contract and built it, and we got it here at the museum in 1970. Now, it's exactly like the original one. It operates with wood, and there's a schedule for the John Molson to operate either on Sunday or Saturdays.
No kidding.
If you want to find out, you got to call the
Still
museum and ask for the schedule,
Is it?
and they'll sit.
Amazing.
And if you're on the site and it operates, and if you're polite enough to see the engineer and say, I would like to climb aboard, you probably will.
Isn't that wonderful? Look at this. Just throw the old wood in, huh?
Yeah. And wood is something we're not going to run short on our grounds here.
I don't think so. Oh, you got some great stuff in here too. Wow.
This engine, 6153,
Right here on the right.
to your right, is a Norton type engine, and it's the last engine to pull freight cars.
Really?
And,
The
yeah,
last
it was
steam
retired
engine?
in September 1959.
Oh my gosh. They're just the size of these things is overwhelming.
Well, the wheels on this are about 60 inches high.
Yeah, you told me. Look at that. My goodness. The building's just barely big enough.
Well, for the the engine on the other side, we had to lift the door to get it in.
Really? Look at this. I love this. What's this here?
This is a small engine from England. We talked about Mr. Angus, who was the founder of the Angus shop in Montreal.
Right.
This was given to him, and he gave it to the museum. And last year, we had fellas from Ottawa come in, and they repainted it as it is, and we had it exposed last year outside, along with the engine, the Dominion of Canada, and the French engine we have also.
Boy, so many different kinds of engines. It's just great. London Brighton South Coast Railway, number 54. Unbelievable. More nice cars. It's another big one. This big car.
Yeah, it is.
This is, just to let our audience know, this is the second in the current series of 2 programs done from the Exporail in St. Constant, Quebec. And once again, we haven't begun to see everything there is to see on the property, so it's very possible that the hometown cable cameras might come back here at a future time and do Chapter 3. In the meantime, if we've whetted your appetite a little bit, we hope you'll get in the car and bring your family up here to view the museum yourselves, to enjoy all there is to see. Napierville Junction. Huh?
Napierville Junction.
Anything like Petticoat Junction?
Does that sound familiar?
I think that's what Larry
Yeah.
Barnes has as an NJ.
That's right.
Does he really?
Yeah, that's an original
Oh, boy.
caboose from the Napierville Junction.
Oh, that's great.
Napierville Junction was the Canadian branch of the D&H.
That's right. That's right.
Isn't that neat? All right, we just like the little red cabooses, that's all.
This is an RS2 engine from Roberval Saguenay, Norton, Quebec.
Now, as you said, a lot of these pieces of equipment are donated, right?
Everything is donated.
Everything is.
Everything is donated.
Wow.
See, we're a non-profit organization.
Isn't it nice that somebody
We just can't afford to buy.
somebody cares
It's
enough
gotta
to
be
make sure
given.
this stuff is preserved, though?
It is, yes. We have the largest railway archives in Canada,
Yeah.
with over 200,000 pieces of
Yep.
archives.
Just amazing. There must be a website. I'm going to have to.
There is.
There is a website.
Yeah, it's exporail.org.
I can
Exporail.org.
Well, that's easy enough, and I will be doing some research, which I normally would have done before I came up here today, but I just wanted to be completely surprised with everything, and I'm so delighted
Ah, good. I'm glad.
to have met you. As I told Calvin, between programs, we couldn't have picked a better guide.
Yeah.
You're the best, Denis.
See, we saw in the new building the first CN engine, the
Yeah.
first diesel.
Right.
See, this is the first CP diesel engine here,
Ah,
number 7,000.
that's great. And you know, it's the people who come here. It's just like going into a rail yard and
is.
and going aboard.
It is.
You know,
Yeah.
A lot safer.
That's a lot safer. That's true too. Oh yeah.
This a couple of years ago was transformed into a tourist information booth.
Oh, this one here,
Yeah.
huh?
It's got a plow underneath.
I noticed they had little plows underneath there.
Yeah.
Isn't it great? Chateaubriand.
Chateaubriand is from France, and the story behind this one, it was built in 1883. The engine is French. The tender is not the original one.
Aha.
The original tender was smaller than that. This tender was given to France after First World War in 1917 by the German to compensate for what they had done to France. But the French never accepted it.
Yeah, you wonder why, huh?
Yeah. And last year when we had the Wadden with the Dominion of Canada and the Chateaubriand outside, I was on the Chateaubriand, and how many French visitors I had and say, we accept this, but we never accepted the tender.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Everything's got its own story.
Oh yeah.
Every piece of equipment has its
If we look at this engine here,
story. Wow.
it's a Pacific 462. These were built for the Canadian government to transport the grain from the prairies across Canada.
Boy, you could see it, hear it coming from miles.
From miles ahead.
There's nothing quite as
Yeah.
two sounds I love best of all: the sound of the loon and the sound of a steam engine and its whistle going into the distance or approaching. Huh?
Steam engine in the far away distance is so peaceful to hear.
Oh
Does it
man,
choo, 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 choo,
you're
choo.
doing it to me.
It's peaceful.
I'm ready to take a little nap right here now. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Once again, just the massive size. The people can get an idea, and Calvin's very good with his camera, and I'm sure you're getting
He's getting good shots.
a wonderful view of all of this. And the best part of it is there are things written on the walls, lighted legends behind Calvin. How does a steam locomotive operate?
That's right.
Explains all that so kids can go back and horrify their history
That's right.
teachers when they get to school.
You know, and it's both French and English.
That's the best part of it,
Everybody
you
can
know.
understand. Get the right word.
Explaining the throttles and the valves and the cylinders and the pistons and the main driving wheels and on and on and on. And then
Our old station badge.
that's a neat one too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look at that.
An old station badge.
Oh my.
And now on this side, even with diesels,
Yep.
you can find out how it operates and what makes it go.
Oh, that's wonderful. That was a great story about how they powered City Hall with a diesel electric engine. I had never heard that before. Gosh,
Now
look at
this engine here
Oh,
is
Calvin,
the
look
Dominion of
at this.
Canada.
Oh,
This engine was given to the museum in 1967 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of our Confederation.
look at this.
The wheels on this, as well as the one from CN, are 80 inches high.
Oh,
These were built for speed, and there's a story about these engines. There's 4 of them across the world. There's one in London. It's called the Winston Churchill, who was the Prime Minister of England during the war.
yeah.
There's one in Wisconsin. It's called the Dwight D. Eisenhower, because Eisenhower was the chief of the Allied troops who liberated England.
Sure.
There's one in New Zealand, because a New Zealander helped the Americans to free England. And there's the Dominion of Canada. The one in England, the Winston Churchill, in 1938 established a world speed record that still stands today for an engine of that type, of 126.5 miles per hour.
Oh, think about that, Calvin. 126 miles an hour? Can you imagine how fast those wheels were turning? Wow, but that's the power of steam, huh?
That's right.
Look at and the
That's right.
style.
Look at the size of
Just
them.
built for speed.
They were built for speeds, yeah. They were built for speed.
Oh, Casey Jones would love to have been on that one at 126
boy.
miles an hour, huh?
Yeah, what a life you would have had.
Oh, my. I've seen pictures of an engine like this and maybe pictures of this one, but never this engine.
Now, Gordon, if you
in
stand next
person.
to the wheels, you're going to find out
Get an idea,
how high it is.
because I'm 5'10 and a half, or at least I was at one point before my old body began to shrink. So you get an idea how, and the wheels go up to
At 7
this.
foot less 4 inches.
Yeah, boy, oh boy. That's amazing, just the sheer power and speed.
One thing to notice on all our steam engines, they're all greased.
Yep,
They can be pulled at any time, and everything is ready to roll.
yep, isn't that amazing? Oh, I'm in heaven now that I've seen this engine. Dominion of Canada, what a absolutely beautiful engine it is. I hope that the people watching this program on Hometown Cable will do a couple of things. Number one, tell your friends about this program. Tell us if you liked it. Tell Calvin. Contribute, because this is a viewer-supported program. We always look for any kind of underwriting and viewer support for our program on the public access channels around northern New York. And this is why we do this program, because if we hadn't come here today, we would have missed a very important thing up here in Canada.
Part of our North American history.
Oh yeah, a huge, huge
Although
part
this
of
is located in Canada, you have the same thing in the States.
Of course.
Because you have Steamtown,
Oh yeah.
in Pennsylvania, and
Yeah.
you have another major museum in Sacramento, California.
Well, we've been to Steamtown, but I'll tell you, now I know where I'm coming. This is almost like being
Can
home
I tell
for
you
me.
something about Steamtown?
Yeah.
No prejudice. I believe we have more steam engines than they have.
I think you're right.
Although they're not operational, we have more than they have. We have 26.
I think you're right. It's okay to be proud of the place where you are, because this is just absolutely terrific.
Right.
Wow, look at the size here.
Yeah, this is 275 tons, and the wheels on,
And you want to go the other side of it?
and this one in the.
I keep forgetting that this is television and Calvin needs more light for the camera, so
Right.
we're on the other side of the engine. You were going to
Okay.
say this one.
In the tender, there's a secret passage, and we have kids. We have between 300 and 350 school bus coming in every year. And we tell the kids that this engine is from England, and the person driving it in England didn't want to let it go. So he's hiding inside. He's sleeping in the tender, because all around the tender there's a small passage about
Oh, really?
2 feet wide. You can go all around. We tell him, as you go in, no noise. Don't wake him. He's not a bad boy, but don't wake him up. And after they're all out and they're all in front of us, we just tell them, it's just a gag. It's a joke. Just to see their faces worth a day.
What a beautiful view this is, huh?
Yeah. That was built for speed.
The Flying Scotsman.
Flying
huh?
Scotsman.
Oh, yeah.
And I tell you one thing, they would like to have it back in England.
You think so?
I am positive.
Boy, this is it. This is just an absolutely classic and unique design.
And if we can get some money together, we're going to have it refurbished.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it takes.
Has anybody ever put a value on what your collection?
To put a steam engine back into working operation, we're talking anywhere between $1 million and $1.5 million.
You can imagine what the entire collection here on these grounds
There's
are
no
worth.
price value.
You can't really.
No, you can't establish that.
The historical value alone is huge.
That's right.
And some of the cars people can actually go through.
These are the first metal cars, and we talked about pay as you enter.
Yeah.
This is one of the first ones. 1905.
So 101 years old this year.
Yeah.
That's amazing all by itself. Well, just tell us whatever you want to as we walk along
Okay.
here.
The engine on our right is a Hudson type engine, but it's not a Royal Hudson like the others.
Okay, I'm
Because
going
the wheels-
to sneak around here. The wheels.
The wheels on this one are 80 inches high. These were built for speed. And this engine built in the 1930s, so in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, with 5 passenger cars behind, attained speed of 116 miles per hour between
Talk about
Toronto and Windsor.
High-speed rail, Calvin. Back in those days.
And at one time, I don't know if it's this one, established a record of 120 miles per hour,
Oh my
which is still less than the Dominion of Canada.
126, but pretty close.
Very close.
It would be a good race.
Yeah.
Oh my,
This
look
one you
at,
can really see the wheels and
boy,
how high
really
it is.
get an idea how tall they are. Isn't that amazing?
And this one you can climb in the cab, see what it's
Yeah.
like.
Oh gosh. Streetcars, we got
Yeah.
streetcars
This
on
is
the other side.
Yeah, but these streetcars are probably there just to show. This is the last streetcar of what they call the PCC line. They were operated by foot instead of by hand.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, same as in Toronto right now. They have cars made in Pittsburgh, if I remember correctly, and
Yeah.
some are made in Japan. They're operated by foot.
Boy.
This is the last one of this type to run in the city of Montreal.
Yep. 1944, last electric streetcar.
That's right.
And that's hasn't been restored or anything.
No,
That's it.
no.
That's just
No, because
the
when
way-
we got it, it was almost falling apart.
No kidding.
Well, you know, streetcars have been off Montreal in 1959. The museum
Sure.
started in 61, and we started getting equipment from Montreal around 1963, 65.
Ah.
See how they tow it? That little.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah, that little tow rope, right? Yeah, I don't think so. Oh, my.
Now, we talked about tramway equipment. You've got a crane there on the left,
Oh, yes.
used to put in tracks or remove new constructions on the tramway circuit.
Yeah, that's nice to have here. Yeah, wow.
What you call them?
Yeah, I want it. I'll be careful.
Now, this is the biggest piece of equipment in the collection. It's a Selkirk type engine. It's 100 feet long, weighs 365 tons. This was used in Western Canada, in the Rockies. And in 1959, when they were retired, to replace one Selkirk, it took 5 diesels.
Really?
But you got to bear in mind that diesels at that time were between 1,000 and 1,200 horsepower.
Right.
So you can imagine the force
Oh,
of the Selkirk.
oh, my goodness. It's almost beyond belief. And we've, like I said, we've seen the pictures, but never have seen anything
right.
like this in person. What a absolutely fabulous engine it is.
It was the biggest, but not the most powerful. The most powerful is the one you saw inside, number 4100, the Santa Fe.
Oh, yeah.
Santa Fe is more powerful than this to pull.
Oh, just beautiful. We got Calvin's foot caught. He still can't get there. We got it. We got you, Calvin. Oh, my goodness. That's a piece of equipment.
Yeah. It was built in 1949. Montreal Locomotive Works. They retired in late 50s. End of 50s, 59.
59, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, here's a piece of work from the olden days, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Look at this.
Emergency fire equipment.
Yep. Another old snowplow, huh?
And an old snow plows. Some of those are still in use.
Yeah, look at this.
You got wings on the side,
Oh, yeah, right, the wings that open up.
hydraulic.
Oh,
And this, you put 2, 3, 4 engines behind it, and just push it.
just push it and let her go, huh?
Yeah. And it's built as opposite to the snowblower you saw before. This is built so that the snow goes around and it comes up flat with snowbanks, so the wind has no catch on it.
Yep. That's the difference between that and the giant snow blower
That's
that we
right.
saw before,
right.
right?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. I love it. This barn is wonderful. Got a lot of neat stuff in here. And people, when they come around the trolley now, do they, the streetcar, do they get off and go
yeah.
through the barns? Is that
Yeah,
how
they
that
get
works?
off at the Barrington station at the back. They come into the small door and they go around. Normally there's a guide in here to help them out.
Help them out.
Yeah.
And there are how many buildings now here?
Altogether is 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings. There's 2 sheds here, the shop, and the new building at the front.
Pretty incredible.
That's the museum.
I love it. It's a nice day, so we have to stand outside a little bit, Denis. What are we looking at here? A little bit.
Okay, this is our yard, and as I said before, all trash were laid by volunteers. We can see the Hayes building in the far ground, and where people are standing, it's what we call our booth car. The booth car is a little cart, a baggage cart that has chairs and tables inside. There are machines for soft drinks and people can have lunch in there,
that's a
pretending
good
they're
Sure.
in a railway car.
Yeah, a dining car, sure. And you got a few things out here, including the Pope's engine over
The
there.
Pope's engine, the one we can see there, the yellow and blue. It's an LRC from Bombardier, and it's the last one of its kind. It's the engine that pulled the Pope's train back in 1984 when the Pope was in Quebec.
Our viewers know what Bombardier has meant for economy in our area since they moved into
That's-
Plattsburgh some years ago.
You're right, and Bombardier are the biggest or the largest railway manufacturers in the world.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Transportation.
That's wonderful. Now we're going to close out our program by looking at the miniature railway.
The miniature layout, 18 by 44.
I can't wait. Let's go.
Let's go.
When Kelvin says stop the car, we stop the car. We want to know what this is here.
Okay, this is a turntable. The type of turntables that were used for roundhouses or end of line where you had no loop to turn the train around.
Right.
In the roundhouse, we'd put the engine on it and turn it towards the track where we want the engine to be put in, at the roundhouse. This table is 110 years old. It's from a little town north Montreal. It's called Saint-Lin, and it's hand operated. It's built on a pivot, so if your engine on the bridge is level, you're well balanced, and you and I will push it.
That's amazing. Hand operated.
Hand operated. You can see the handles at the back.
Yeah.
There's a handle at each end.
So you still use it now?
Oh yeah, we still use it because our shop, our repair shop, is just to our left here.
Yes.
You can see all the tracks going there. So right now it's lined with our main line. And whenever we need something inside the shop, put it on the bridge, turn it around.
Now there are a lot of dreams that you folks have for this place. More buildings, a roundhouse, a lot of extra things, so who knows?
We're thinking in the future for a roundhouse, and also we have on the site a train simulator that belongs to CN, and right now there's no place where we can put it because it's too heavy.
Sure.
We thought of putting it in the Hayes building, but the floor is not strong enough to hold it.
Right.
But as we have money, we will have a roundhouse, and we will have a place for the train simulator.
Well, let's hope that money is forthcoming.
Let's hope
and
so.
that some of these extra dreams can come true. I'm glad we stopped here for a minute. Thanks, Denis.
You're welcome.
In 5 minutes.
Oh, we got the key, and we got into the inner
Yeah.
sanctum.
That's right.
And looking at miniatures, this is incredible. I've never seen anything like it. Tell me about this.
This is the smallest gauge. It's called Z gauge. It's 1/220. And it's built in valises. There are 3 valises. They were owned by Jeffrey McCann. And Jeffrey, with these valises, went around the world and gained some prizes. Germany, Scotland, England, you name it. He was there, and he got first prizes all over. The valises were then evaluated in the United States, and they were worth over $50,000 US.
1,000 US.
And we got them here at the museum now for the past 2 years.
Incredible detail.
All the details are there, and everything is operational. The lights are operational, the trains are operational. There's even a roundhouse right at the front here, so people can see what a roundhouse was
Right
like.
here, yeah, we were
That's
talking
right.
about that a few
That's
minutes
right.
ago. I wonder how long it took him to build it. I bet you he spent a while, doesn't he?
A couple of years.
Yeah.
But I know right now, we acquired these 2 years ago, and since then, Jeffrey built another valise of his own,
he
and
did?
his wife has one also. His wife built a small town in Germany where she worked for a while.
Oh, my.
And they're going to be here for our miniature weekend, August the 19th and 20th. And everything is going to be operational, as well as our layout in here.
Isn't that incredible? This alone is worth the trip up here to this museum to see. That absolute perfection.
And one thing, you noticed, the trains are all Union Pacific.
Are they really? I
Yes.
didn't even notice it. I got old eyes here, boy. Oh, yes,
The yellow
Union
engines
Pacific,
there.
of course. See
Union
all that?
Pacific.
Oh, that's beautiful. Golly, that's great. So what else is in this room now, Denis?
Okay, this is our layout. It's 18 by 41. And right now, they're building it. The layout is operational.
Yes.
It's all on DCC, digital command control. And during the weekends, we have people come in who are building the layout. They do operations. Every Tuesday, they're here, and they build. You got the laying of the tracks. Everything is. You got another roundhouse right
Another
there.
roundhouse right there. I can see it.
It shows you exactly the purpose of the
Sure.
turning bridge, so that you can line with the doors in the roundhouse.
And I heard on the public address system here a few minutes ago that they're going to have a demonstration of the bridge
That's
out there
right.
in the end car,
That's right.
so the public can get an actual
Yeah.
idea of how that works.
That's every day outside at 2, 3, and 4 o'clock. There's a demonstration of the bridge.
So this is all being built now as
It's
we
all
speak,
being built
huh?
right now. It's operational as it is right now.
Yeah.
But they're still working on the scenery, as you can see at the other end there. They started the scenery, decoration. There'll be hundreds of trees.
It's beautiful. Now these, all these friends of yours that are working in here?
No, it's a club in Old Montreal.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's called
One of the clubs that you're not in, huh?
No, one of the clubs I'm not in. It's called AMFM Club.
I like that idea. Chew mail pouch tobacco. Treat yourself.
But don't spit.
Yeah, but don't spit is right.
All HO, right?
This is all HO gauge?
It's all HO, yes. Got a coal mine right there.
Oh, you can get an idea how some of this stuff gets put together, you know?
Yeah, and it's on different levels.
Oh, my goodness.
And behind the layout are tracks where you can make repairs, you can build a train.
Oh, no
and
kidding,
send it out.
behind?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. This is gonna be certainly fabulous.
It's gonna be big.
By the time it's finished, huh?
Yeah.
This won't be a movable display. I
Oh, no,
think
no,
it'll
no,
be
no.
permanent
This is
when it gets done.
yeah, this is permanent.
Be a very, very nice part of
See
it.
the back here with the church gives you an idea what it's going to be like.
Oh, isn't that neat with a church?
There's even a wedding at the church.
Oh, isn't that? Look at this.
Yeah.
Oh,
You see the bride and groom come in and the priest waiting for them.
Oh, gosh.
That's an Anglican church.
Yep. And all the buildings will be painted.
Oh yeah. And all these buildings are handmade. A fellow by the name of John Cooper makes them all. And they're all scaled. 187s. John is an artist at
Oh, my goodness.
putting up
Just
buildings.
so impressed, and I can see how how the bridges in the mountains are being built out of pieces of styrofoam.
It's all styrofoam.
and chopped away and cut and
That's
molded
right.
and then sprayed or something.
That's right. These are all sprayed. You can see the details in the river there,
Oh,
floating down.
coming down through the bridges, and that's amazing to see how it's put together right from the inside out, huh?
It is.
I love it. Looks like some kind of a covered bridge going on over here. Whoops.
There is a covered bridge right over
Oh,
there.
covered bridge way back in the
Go
corner. I see
over
it. All done.
the tracks.
Yep. Not too many left in New York State anymore,
No, anywhere.
unfortunately.
Yeah. See, these are almost all buildings that John made.
Really? Oh, this is going to be so great. And this club will operate this and have it open during certain periods?
It'll be the
and-
Museums Club.
It will.
Yeah. And I don't know exactly how it's going to work. We're still working on that, you know. Are we going to have members or what's it going to be like? Because you can't afford to have anybody that doesn't know anything about
Well,
DCC and trains. And
you know, when we were standing out there waiting for you to come with a key, I can't tell you how many people came and tried the door because the kid said, Dad, Dad.
I know that
I wanna
they're
go in
lucky
there and
when
see
you.
it, Dad. I wanna go and see it. And we have some of the others.
These are part of the museum's collection. Early trains, things that come from the archives.
Beautiful stuff here.
Yeah. This engine here, it's called a Jubilee type, 4.4. They were not big, but they were fast. With 2 or 3 passenger cars behind, they could go probably 50, 60 miles an hour.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Well, you know what? We kicked it in the pants again, you and me, Denise.
Oh, come on.
2 shows done. You, like I said, we didn't even let you take a nap or have lunch in between. We just kept going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny, but we did it, didn't we, huh? And you know what? I've had a ball. I don't know about you, but it's been so much fun.
I will really be honest with you guys. I enjoyed myself like a kid.
Just, I feel like a kid. I'm sure the three of us were transported back in time to when we were 12
That's
years
right.
old.
That's right.
And I hope we did the same for all those people in our audience. It's very important to get the word out about a place like this.
That's
And
right.
I know you do television and radio and newspaper interviews with people, and they couldn't pick a better spokesman
No,
than you.
thank you.
One would think that you spent the last 50, 60 years of your life in this business, but you've been here for 15 years.
That's it. Was 42 years in the glass industry prior to that.
Isn't that amazing? We're thrilled to have met you, Denis. Thank everybody who allowed us to come in here today. These programs will be aired on the public access channels around northern New York in the coming months. We're recording this in early August 2006. And when we get a chance, before the snow flies or even next year, we'll do a couple more chapters, you and me. What do you think?
There are plenty of things yet you haven't seen.
Oh,
Our
God.
hidden treasures.
I was looking at some of the brochures, and I know there are, and I'll be looking at the website. The website is what again?
It's exporail.org.
That's easy.
Very easy.
Get a little taste of what it's like.
We're in Saint-Constant, Quebec, 20 minutes from the border at La Colle. And don't forget, next weekend, not this coming weekend, 19th and 20th, our miniature train exposition.
It should be an awful lot
One
of
thing
fun.
to remember about our miniature train exposition, there's no extra charge to come in. You pay your regular fare, and we give you double entertainment.
Great idea.
Every year.
That's almost,
Every year, the third weekend of August.
that's great, because sometimes this program doesn't get on the air for several weeks when we get back home, and then it'll be aired several times, so people will know who you are.
I hope so. And you can tell them I'll be in Essex Junction next March
Will
for the
you?
exposition.
I love it. Thanks again, buddy boy.
It's a pleasure.
It was great to see you. And who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.